Good afternoon all.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hope everything is fine.
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In the last lecture, most probably we have seen some of the examples using weighted moving average. We have seen few of the example of 3-year moving average, 5-year moving average, 7-year moving average, as well as 4-yearly moving average. There was a difference among these two when it was 3, 5, 7. That means odd number of year moving averages to be found. Then things were simple. But when it was an even number of year moving average, at that time the whole process is to be done in 2 steps. The first step was to, for a moment, let us suppose 4 yearly moving average is there. The first thing is to be done was, the first step means making a bunch of 4. We have to put the value which is in between of all these 4 years, and then after again you have to make it centered. So centering process is always used with even number of years moving averages to be found of. That is what we have seen in some of the examples which we did it earlier. Then after, we thought of some weighted moving average. In this weighted moving average, few weights were given. For a moment, let us suppose 3 yearly moving average were supposed to found. At that time, the weights were given. So naturally, if it is a 3 yearly moving average, 3 different weights were given to you. If it is 5 yearly moving average, at that time 5 different weights were given to you. And if it is a 7 yearly moving average, then 7 different weights might have given to you. Probably we haven't seen that type of example, but for 3 year and 5 year, we calculated weighted moving average. In that method, one thing was very clear. Whenever a 4 yearly moving average is there, you have to make it centered. To first of all make a bunch of 4, and then after a bunch of 2, and ultimately it was divided by 8. But whenever weighted moving average is to be found, at that time you should, whatever may be the number, it can be 3 yearly, it can be 5 yearly, it can be 7 yearly, or whatever it is. But here in this case, whenever you are dealing with weighted moving average, at that time that divided, or you can say denominator, should be the sum of weights instead of year. That sort of examples we already did it. Now, shifting our focus to the next level, the next thing is a new term is used here, which is a short-term fluctuation. Actually, this time series, as I said it earlier, even when we started this chapter, that there are 2 types of fluctuation. One is a long-term fluctuation, and second is short-term fluctuation. That is how we divided its components. Once you make a merging of these 2, or you can say consolidated fluctuation, gives us trend. So in any case, whatever may be the case, whichever method you are using, ultimately after getting a trend, whether it is 3 yearly, 4 yearly, 5 yearly, 7 yearly, weighted, or anything else, our intention is to get fluctuation, and that fluctuation is named as short-term fluctuation. Let us take one of the example, which is very simple. One more column is to be drawn off, and we have to make a difference of 2. That's all. It's not a big deal. Let us have one of the examples that will make it more clear. Yes, please.
Sir, sir, તમે લાસ્ટ માં 10 એક્ઝામ્પલ કરાવ્યા હતા તો 11th અને 12th નહીં આવે?
Just a moment. this was 11th and 12th. Don't get confused with those numbers, because 11th and 12th number might not be according to your usage. So that is why I
Okay,
have
sir.
skipped that part. So don't get behind the numbers. It's all fine. 11th and 12th number example, which I haven't taken it in my PowerPoint presentation. It's all fine, right?
Okay, sir.
Let us shift to this example. Using 3 yearly moving averages, determine the trend and short-term fluctuations. Plot the original and trend values on the same graph paper. You know it quite well. Original values and trend values are to be plotted on a graph paper, that you know it quite well. I want this example to be done right now. Let us do it. I suppose all of you are having pen and paper with you. Let us deal with this example. Years are given to be 2002, 2003, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Fine enough. 3 yearly moving averages to be found of. In the last stage, we may deal with short-term fluctuation, because it comes ultimately at a later stage. But before of that, you have to get 3 yearly moving average for the given data. And the another data is given, it is in form of profit, and that too in thousands. Okay, fine enough. Okay, what should be done at a first step? What should be the first step to be done? I want answers from your side. Let it be an interactive session. What should one do initially to start up with? Fire. Yes, fire.
Make a bunch of 3, like 2002, 2003, and 2004.
Fine enough. The another one is, if I'm not mistaken, Dikshita. Dikshita.
Yes, sir. We have to make the bunch of 3 and add it.
Okay, fine enough. Before of that, first of all, this data is given to you in a row format. So first thing is to be done is put it in a column format. The first column is to be written off is make a title of year, and the second column would be profit. So put this data set in form of columns. Once you put it in a column, it may look somewhat like this. The first column, which is year, second column, which is profit. Write the whole data accordingly, as it is given to you in the example itself. Once you write down this two data set in a column format, the next column should be 3 yearly moving total. As Dikshita and Payal suggested, we have to make a bunch of 3. So naturally, in a year, bunch of 3 is 2002, 2003 and 2004. And the profit, a bunch of 3 becomes 18, 21 and 20, right? Okay. While making a bunch of this 3, you have to add it. So that column named is 3 yearly moving total. So 18 plus 21 plus 20. The total becomes 59. And that you have to write exactly in between of these 3 years. 2002, 2003 and 2004. The middle year among these 3 is 2003. So you have to write it against 2003. Fine enough?
Yes, sir.
Next, once you write down 59, then after the first entity is to be skipped. So year 2002 and a profit of 18,000 means 18 is to be skipped. Now you have to make a bunch of 2003, 2004 and 2005. The profit which we have, respective profits are 21, 20 and 25. So these three entities are to be summed up. 21, 20 and 25, sum becomes 66. That we have to write in front of the middle year of 2003, 2004 and 2005. The middle year of all these 3 years is 2004, so you have to write this 66 against 2004. Right enough? Similarly,
Yes, sir.
follow the same pattern up to the last. So you will have all the sum as 59, 66, 74, 81, 91 and 104. Look, it is a 3-yearly moving total. Whenever you are dealing with 3-yearly moving total, the first and the last entity will remain dash. So you have to put dash in the first and the last entity of this column. Is this part okay?
Yes, sir.
Are
Yes,
you
sir.
getting the same amount?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Once this column is over, then you have to write one more column, which is 3-yearly moving average. That means trend values. Trend values are generally denoted with T. 3-yearly moving total is with you, from which you have to fetch 3-yearly moving averages, means a trend values. Since you made a sum of 3 years, so naturally that is to be divided by 3. So 59 divided by 3 comes to, dash will remain dash, 59 divided by 3 comes to 19.667. 66 divided by 3 comes to 22. 74 divided by 3 becomes 24.667. 81 divided by 3 comes to 27. 91 divided by 3 comes to 30.333. 104 divided by 3 comes to 34.667, and dash will remain dash. Right enough? Are you getting these numbers?
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. That means you have already found trend values. Now, as the question suggests that you should notice the short-term fluctuation. Short-term fluctuation. Make another column of short-term fluctuation. Short-term fluctuation is nothing but whatever the original data is. That means profit. It is being denoted with Y because it is on Y-axis, so it is denoted with Y. And the trend values which you are getting, which is T, Y minus T, becomes a new column, and that new column is titled as short-term fluctuations. Right? Okay. In this case, it comes to 18 and 3-yearly trend value is dash. 18 and dash. So here again you have to write a dash. The another is the respective profit value originally given in your data set is 21. The trend value which we are getting is 19.667. Make a difference of these two. 21 minus 19.667. So the difference is 1.333, and that difference is to be written here. It is Y minus T. Y means the original data given to you. T means trend value which you have found, means this column. Y is this column and T is this column. So respective entities are to be deducted. So 21 minus 19.667 comes to 1.333. 20 minus 22 comes to minus 2. 25 minus 24.667 comes to 0.333. 29 minus 27 comes to 2. 27 minus 30.333 comes to minus 3.333. 35 minus 34.667 comes to 0.333. And this is 42 and a dash remains a dash. So the new column is named as short-term fluctuation, which is nothing but the difference of the original values given to you in your example itself minus the trend value which you might have found. It can be 3 yearly, it can be 5 yearly, it can be 7 yearly, it can be 4 yearly, it can be weighted or whatever it is. But difference of the original data, original value minus a trend value, whatever you are getting, that becomes respective short-term fluctuation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. Now, the question was to get it on a graph paper. On a graph paper, we don't have to put anything as a short-term fluctuation right now. They may ask you to draw a short-term fluctuations even, but in this example, only the thing to be plotted on a graph paper is original data set, that means an actual line, and all the points which you found, means 3 yearly moving average, means trend values. The another graph will be the same data set, means same number of years with a 3 yearly moving averages, and that line, that dots are to be connected, and then you will get a trend line. Draw a graph. Come on, let us do it. We want to do it right now. As I said it earlier, always your x-axis is time and your y-axis is a data given to you. So in this case, your x-axis will be year starting from 2002 to 2009 profit. It should be written on y-axis. The lowest value which you have among this is 18, and the largest value which you have in the same column is 42. So your y-axis should consist starting from 18 to 42. Right enough? Okay. Now, if you just put it on a graph paper, this may look somewhat like this. First thing first, are you getting your graph something like this? All these dots are to be connected, so you will have a hip hop, or you can say a zigzag kind of a thing, and connect those dots, and that will be your actual trend. Actual trend, you can say. You just title that particular line as actual trend. Once you do it, then on a similar graph paper, they ask to have a trend line. So again, number of year will remain same, 2002 to 2009. Now, instead of taking original data set of profit, you have to take the 3 yearly moving averages, or you can say trend points, or you can say trend, value of trend on the same graph paper. You will have different points, and if you connect those points, you will have a line, and that is treated as trend line. You have to put both the things on the same graph paper so you can compare both the things simultaneously. Let me know once you complete it. Does it look like the same?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now I think the whole part is clear. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Have everyone completed it?
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Yes, Payal.
Sir, in exam, this graphical method is asked like we are supposed to draw
They,
graphs
they,
in
may, they
exam.
may ask you, it is not a graphical method right now because you are using a 3 yearly moving average, but they can ask you to plot it on a graph paper. At that point of time, in examination, this graph paper will be supplied by university itself. So you have to ask for a graph paper to your supervisor, and he will supply,
Oh,
right? Let us
yes, yes.
shift to the next slide. Now, the example says that from the given data, calculate trend and short-term fluctuations by moving average method. Periodicity is 4 years. That means you have to calculate 4 yearly moving average. I want all of you to do it right now in the class right now. Two things are to be focused on. First thing is 4 yearly moving average is to be found, and then after a short-term fluctuation is to be found out. First thing first of all, just concentrate on 4 yearly moving average. The data set given to you are in a row format. You have to, first thing is to be done is you have to put it in a column format. So first column would be year, which is on x-axis, so it will be denoted with x. The another value is production in production data. The production data, naturally it is denoted as Y, and you have to put it in a column. 462, 510, 525, 470, and so on up to 645. The data set given to you are in the form of 2008 to 2018. It's all fine. Now 4 yearly moving average is to be found. As this 4 is an even number, two processes are to be done. First process is to get 4 yearly, means making a bunch of 4, and then after it would be making a bunch of 2. That means a centering process is to be done. Do it right away and try to calculate 4 yearly moving average center. We have seen such type of examples, so I am not explaining much in detail right now. You know it quite well what is to be done and how it is to be done. Do it right now.
Sir,
Yes.
how do we find whether the question is 3 yearly or 4 yearly? It is not clarified. If
Look, that is again a role of a statistician. Whether to get a 3 yearly, 4 yearly, or 5 yearly. But as far as your syllabus is concerned, every time they might have given it to you in example itself. So for you, it is not a matter to bother about. It is always given to you. Here periodicity is given to you. That means 4 years. Means naturally in this case you have to calculate 4 yearly moving average. Whatever example you might have seen till now, in all this example it was previously given to you in a data set itself that you have to calculate 3 yearly, 4 yearly, 5 yearly, or 7 yearly. Right? So it is always given to you. As far as your syllabus is concerned, it is always given to you in advance. But your question is very right. Who decides this, whether it is 3 yearly, 4 yearly, 5, 7, whatever it is? That can be decided by a statistician or an analyst by observing your data and putting it on a graph paper. On a graph paper, that cycle is to be noted. How far this fluctuation takes place, that is to be noted. And then after, they decides that it should be 3, 4, 5, or 7 yearly moving averages are to be found. But that particular portion is not right now at this particular juncture of time. It is not in your syllabus right now. And you don't have to bother about it just because of it is always given to you in the example itself. Clear?
yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Are you getting 4 yearly moving total as 1967, 2020, 2060, 2110, 2200, 2265, 2335, 2405? Is it so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Once you get this 4 yearly moving totals, what is to be done next? To get this 4 yearly moving total, you might have made a bunch of 4, 2008, 9, 10, and 11. Make a sum of all this 4 and you have kept it in between. In between in the sense the first entity may come somewhere between 2009 and 10. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
सर क्या ये कंपलसरी है कि 2 पीरियड्स मूविंग टोटल करने के बाद ही हम उसकी एवरेज कर सकते हैं? लाइक डायरेक्टली हम नहीं कर
We have
सकते?
seen some of the examples. Since these are the second, third examples, so always I am putting it in a 2 different way, right? Here, centering process is to be done. Whenever a 4 yearly moving averages are to be found, you should keep 2 different columns. One is 4 yearly moving total, 4 yearly moving total centered, and then after 4 yearly moving average. But when it is 3, 5, or 7, then you don't have to bother much about it. Instead of making a column of 3 yearly moving totals, directly you can put 3 yearly moving averages. It's making a bunch of 3, divide it with 3, and then after put that value directly. It is possible. But as you are struggling in terms of marks in the sense of that you are doing this process to get some marks. So it is advisable to put 2 different columns. One is 3 yearly moving total and then after 3 yearly moving average. Similarly, for 4 yearly, it is a sort of a compulsion. To avoid few mistakes, you have to write down 3 different columns. First is 4 yearly moving total. Then after it would be 4 yearly moving total centered. And then after it would be 4 yearly moving averages. So if you follow this, there is no scope of mistake. Otherwise, what will happen? 4 yearly, if you try to write 4 yearly moving average directly, that will create a havoc. That will create a chaos. So try to avoid it. I think for the 4 yearly moving averages, you have to write 4 yearly moving total, 4 yearly moving total centered, and then after 4 yearly averages. Right?
Okay, sir.
Are you getting 4 yearly moving averages like it is shown in the last column?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
But sir, why it's written 5 yearly moving average?
There is a mistake in this PowerPoint
Okay.
presentation. It is not 5 yearly, it is 4 yearly. It's a typo
Yes, yes.
mistake. It's not 5 yearly. I'm very happy that all of you have a great observation power. And in statistics, I suppose observation power plays a great role. And all of you have proved it twice, I suppose, in the same lecture. Someone noticed that 11th and 12th example is not there. And the last one, instead of 4 yearly, here it is written 5 yearly. So there is a mistake. So you have a great observation power, and time series is all about observation power. Great. Okay, I suppose all of you are getting the value 4 yearly moving averages as it is shown in the column number 5, which is given to you,
yes,
right?
sir.
Right? Okay. What was the question now? The question was to get short-term fluctuation. To get a short-term fluctuation, here you can add one more column. Add one more column as short-term fluctuation as y minus t. Your t is 4 yearly moving averages, or you can say it is trend values. So trend values are generally denoted with t. In many of the book, if you refer some of the book, they may have calculated as YC. This C is written somewhere as a suffix. So YC means it is Y calculated. Y calculated means the trend given in a data set is denoted with Y. But with some process, you get your trend values. So you get your calculated trend values. So that is generally being denoted with YC in some of the books. Now short-term fluctuation is nothing but Y minus YC. In this case, I have written it with two different notations. Your trend values given to you are in form of Y. The trend values which you are getting, or you can say a calculated trend value, whatever may be the method, 3 yearly, 5 yearly, 7 yearly, 4 yearly, whatever it is, that is being denoted with T. So the next column should be Y minus T. Something of this kind. 462, there is a dash against it, so short-term fluctuation becomes dash in that case. 2000, the value against it is 510. There is a dash as a trend value because it is a 4 yearly moving totals, moving averages. So again, there would be dash in a short-term fluctuations even. 2010, 525. The value which you found is 498.375. So making a difference of this two, it comes to 26.625, and that is to be written against 2010. Similarly, get all the values. And these values are titled as short-term fluctuations. Once you get all these values, compare it with the given data, given slide. Once you get it, let me know.
Yes, sir, it is completed.
Fine. Everyone has completed it, and are you getting the same results?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, this way, the different moving averages, or you can say all the examples related to moving average. Now it's time to move to the next method, is named as method of least square. But before of that, I wanted you to have some examples to be done. I mean, you have to practice it, and let us do a practice instead of starting a new point, right? I am trying to find. Let us do this example. Calculate trend values from the following data by using 4 yearly moving average. Now, let me suggest something to all of you, that till now, concept was important, right? How to do it, how you will be calculating it, and all the stuff. Now, once that part is clear, now focus on speed. How speedy you can do it without an error, that part is important now. So let us solve this example by considering time into a factor. Try to do it as soon as you can. 4 yearly moving average is to be found using this data set. The given number of years, given years are 2001, 2002, and so on up to it is 2013. And the values, respective values are given to you. First thing is to be done is put it in a form of columns. Then what is to be done?
Make a
Making a
bunch.
bunch.
First of all, putting it on a paper, write it down in terms of columns. Once you put it in a form of column, then after make another column named 4 yearly moving totals. Make a bunch of 4. Making a bunch of 4, then after you have to put it against in between of 2 years. So the first bunch would be 41, 61, 55, and 48. What is the total?
It's 205.
205. It is to be written in between of 2002 and 2003. right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want all the entities of this column one after another. The first entity is 2005 and you have to write it in between of 2002 and 2003. What is the next?
217.
270. Fine enough. What is next?
223.
223. I want all of you to participate. 223. What is next?
230.
230. Fine enough. The next.
242.
242. Fine enough. What is next?
256.
256. Correct one. What is next?
262.
262. Right enough. What is next?
278.
278. Next.
294.
294. Next.
311.
311. Right? 311. That will be the last entity. And then after, naturally, it would be a dash. All of them are in between of some number of years. So you have to make a centering process. To make a centering process, again, you have to make a bunch of 2. While making a bunch of this, I am again repeating it right from the beginning. 205, 217, 223, 230, 242, 256, 262, 278, 294 and 311. These are the entities. Now you have to make a bunch of 2. While making a bunch of 2, what would be the sum?
422.
422 would be the first entity and which will come against 2003. Right enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
422 is the first entity. What is next?
450.
440.
440. It is 440. Because it is a sum of 217 and 223. While making sum of these two, what you will get would be 440. 440. So the first entity is 422, second entity is 440. What is the third one?
453.
453 is the next one. What is next?
472.
472 is the next one. What is next to it?
498.
498 is next to it. Next.
518.
518 is the next. Next.
540.
540 is the next entity. The next.
572.
572 is the next. Okay. And the last one is
605.
605. Right enough. And a dash. Naturally, it is a 4-yearly moving total. So there would be 2 dash at an earlier stage, means at an initial stage, and 2 dash will be at the end. Fine. Now again, this was a centering total. So now if my intention is to get 4-yearly moving average centered, or you can say trend values, what is to be done?
Adding those two periodical totals and dividing it by 8.
That is what you did it already. 205 and 217. You made an addition of 2, and that is how you got this 422. So now directly
Dividing 422 divided by
Dividing it by 8.
422 should be divided by 8 directly now, is it?
Yes, sir. 52.75.
52.75 would be the first entity. Next one.
55.
55.
55 will be the next entity. The next one.
56.625.
56.625 is the next entity. Next.
59.
59 is the next entity. Next.
62.25.
62.25 is the next entity. What is next to it?
64.75.
64.75 is the perfect one. What is next?
67.5.
Perfectly okay. 67.5 is the next entity. What is next?
71.5.
71.5 is the next entity. What is next?
75.65.
75.625 would be the last entity. 2 dash at an initial stage and the 2 dash at a termination point. Right? Okay. Are you all of you getting the same answer? Just check
Yes,
it
sir.
with the slides.
Yes, sir.
So 4 yearly moving average trend values are 52.75, 55, 56.625, 59, 62.25, 64.75, 67.5, 71.5 and 75.625. All of you are getting the same answer?
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Look, in this case, it is not given, they haven't asked you to plot it on a graph paper, so it is not needed at all. This becomes your answer. Don't you feel like it's an easy job? I don't think there is any rocket science in it.
It's easy.
It's quite easy, right? Let us shift to the next example. Determine the trend for the following data by moving average method. Since the data set is in form of quarters, quarters are 4, it should always be 4 yearly. Here you cannot use the word 4 yearly. It is 4 quarterly moving average. As someone was asking how to decide it, so if the data set given are in form of quarters, always use the quarters. At that time, 4 quarters are there within a year. So here, 4 quarterly moving average is to be found out. Right? Do it right away. Now try to do it as soon as you can. Try to enhance your speed from the previous example. Do it fast. First thing first. First of all, write down the column. The data set given to you, it should be written in form of column. First column, year 2011, 12 and 13. Quarters are given to you. The second, one more column will be there. This another column is quarters. First, second, third, fourth. Since you are dealing with 4 quarterly moving average, naturally, you have to put one line in between, one line empty in between of each of the quarters. The figures given to you, put it in a column form, 210, 191, 216, 200 and so on up to 225. Once you do it, The next column should be 4 quarterly moving total. Make a bunch of 4, add it. At an initial stage, you are making a bunch of 4. While making a bunch of 4, it should be 210, 191, 216 and 200. Making bunch of this 4, adding it, it comes to 870. Is it so?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, do the same process till the last element. $817, $825, $831, $845, $856, $884, $902, $907 and $921. Four quarterly moving total. Once you complete it, the next column should be 4 quarterly moving total centered. To make a centering process, again you have to make a bunch of 2. So 817 and 825 make a sum of this 2. And that sum comes to 1642, and it should be written in between of these two entities, which is exactly opposite to the third quarter of 2011. Do the same process till the end. So all this total comes to 1642, 1656, 1676, 1701, 1740, 1786, 1809 and 1828. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now the last process is left. In the last column, it should be 4 quarterly moving average, or you can say trend values. Actually, these are the trend values, and since you made 2 different processes, made a bunch of 4 and then after made a bunch of 2, so divided by 4 divided by 2 becomes divided by 8. So 1642 means whatever the entities given here, 1642, 1656, all these values are to be divided by 8 in the next column. So it becomes 4 quarterly moving average centered. So if 1642 divided by 8 comes to 205.25. What is the next?
1656 divided by 8.
Yeah,
207.
fine enough. What is next?
209.5.
209.5. What is next?
212.625.
212.625. Fine enough. Next.
217.5.
217.5. Perfectly okay. What is next?
223.25.
223.25. Fine enough. Next.
226.125.
226.125. Perfectly okay. What is next?
228.5.
228.5, which is the last entity, and 2 dash will be there at an end, and 2 dash will be at an upper side where you started it. The first and second quarter of 2011 there will be dash, and third and fourth quarter of 2013 there would be dash, and all of the things are written in between, right? This is how it may look alike. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think we have to keep it up to this. Is there any problem within this?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No,
I
sir.
think there is no issue, right?
Perfectly
That is a
okay.
good sign. I'll take it as a compliment that you don't have any issues regarding it. I don't know. Fine enough. One more. Have you completed it?
Yes, sir.
Fine
Yes,
enough.
sir.
Now
Yes,
let
sir.
us talk something which is not time series. Management have announced yesterday that now they are stopping this online, as they have already started offline teaching, and there are more than 3-4 classes right now. So all of you are requested to come down to college. Most probably from the next week, from Monday onward, there will be only one option left, which is an offline teaching. That is what they have decided, and all of you might have gone through this notice given by principal. Have you gone through it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine enough. Then see you personally in an offline class, right? Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
See ya.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Sir,
Bye,
can you
sir.
please send this fly?
I'll be sending a PDF until this. I'll definitely send the PDF on the same platform, right?